Begin with breaking news. The United States says it submitted a draft resolution to the UN Security Council calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the resolution is linked to the release of captives and that he hopes countries will support the move. The U.S. has previously vetoed attempts to achieve a ceasefire at the United Nations. Let's get more with our diplomatic editor, James Bays, who joins us on the line. So, James, what more are you hearing about this U.S. resolution?
Well, these comments have come from Secretary of State Blinken in the last half hour and clearly sound very important indeed. What we need to know is the exact language of the UN Security Council resolution to which he's referring. And I can tell you that Al Jazeera has obtained a copy of the latest, we thought it was the latest US Security Council draft just a few hours ago. And this is, I think, where the language is important, because he's talking, when he spoke to reporters a short time ago, about an immediate ceasefire. And the resolution, the copy we've seen, does use the words immediate and sustained ceasefire. But this is where it gets complicated, and this is important. The language you have says the Security Council determines the imperative of an immediate and sustained ceasefire to protect civilians on all sides. Now, determines the imperative means that an immediate and sustained ceasefire the Security Council believes is important. What other members of the Security Council want is an immediate demand for one to take place. And it's not clear in this resolution that that's actually what the US is demanding. And I have to be honest with you, it's not clear whether this copy of the resolution that Al Jazeera obtained just a couple of hours ago is the copy that Secretary of State Blinken is talking about. It may well be. This is a fluid document. It's being updated all the time, but the language has been changed. It is certainly the strongest draft that I have seen with regard to the situation in Gaza, demanding immediate aid go into Gaza, talking about international humanitarian law being complied with. It is a lengthy document. This is something the US has been working on, a draft resolution, for some weeks now, and it's been constantly evolving. Yeah. Certainly the strongest language yet, but is it quite what the rest of the Security Council want, a demand for an immediate ceasefire, or is it just a resolution where the Security Council would say an immediate ceasefire is something that's very important, and he may then, of course, be able to refer to the ongoing talks that are taking place in Doha to try and get a 6-week ceasefire.
As you say, James, strong language in this draft resolution that the U.S. is putting forward. And this is, of course, a significant change, it would appear, given the U.S.'s previous vetoes at the Security Council on Gaza.
Yes, we have, for 3 times we've had the U.S. representative in the Security Council raise their arm in veto against the rest of the Security Council. Only the UK has been on 2 of those resolutions not supporting the resolution, in abstention. But the US is the only one that, with veto powers, blocked those resolutions. The Security Council would have called for an immediate ceasefire at the end of last year if it hadn't been for the United States. And I know from diplomats in New York and elsewhere that there's been considerable concern about this among the Security Council, but also, I think, among the U.S. diplomatic community. Senior diplomats have told me they believe that the U.S. ambassador herself, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, has been uneasy about the U.S. position and has been advocating for the U.S. to take a stronger position given the scale of the deaths caused by Israel's bombardment.
James, thank you very much for the moment. That's James Bays, our diplomatic editor. On the line there, we'll have more on this breaking news story throughout the day here. Of course, the U.S. Reportedly submitting a new draft resolution at the Security Council calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza.